The NBA is having a massive youth movement right now. Young players are more valuable than they've ever been, and rightfully so. Young players are the most talented they've ever been, and most NBA ready they've ever been coming into the draft. There are many teams in the league, such as Detroit, Houston, Orlando, and Oklahoma, and so on, who are tanking or were tanking for a solid young core. There are many other teams who have great young cores, and today I want to talk about one of the three best young cores in the league and talk about their off-season moves and what you should expect from this team in the 2021-22 season.
They be like, what? Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Cause all the bitches love it. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it.
Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I make regular NBA content, and if this interests you, do subscribe to the channel. Also check out my video about the third best young core in the league, the New Orleans Pelicans, which I dropped yesterday. Moving on to the video. The Boston Celtics have always had a very good core in recent history. They've made multiple conference finals, and some of the players we're going to talk about now were massive catalysts for that feat. The team has lost a lot of players since its peak success in recent years, but they're still the second best young core in the league, without necessarily tanking at any point. And a massive reason for this are their two young all-star wings, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Let's start off by talking about one of the best young stars in the league right now, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is insane, and that's the best way to put it. Tatum is one of the best and most unstoppable scorers in the league right now. He averaged 26.5 points per game on above average efficiency last year, and what makes his ridiculous run last year more impressive is that he wasn't even 100%. He had the potential to average near 30 points last year if he was 100%, and his play in the playoffs is just a proof of that. Tatum is one of the best isolation scorers in the league right now, and he's also a ridiculously good clutch player. Tatum can carry a team if required and win the games against some of the best teams in the league just by sheer will and ridiculous offensive capabilities. He showcased this last year multiple times. The game against Steph Curry and the game against the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs was one of the best games in Celtics history. That is really saying something because of how many iconic players have played for the Celtics and how many great games have been played in that uniform. Tatum has also been constantly improving ever since he's been in the league. All he needs to do right now is take that jump to superstardom with a little bit more consistency. Playing better off the ball and learning how to impact the game when he isn't on song in the scoring department are signs of improvement. He did show signs of improvement in these departments last year, with much improved playmaking, which helps him impact the game in other ways, and he also had one of the most consistent seasons he's ever had to date. Though Tatum is not a natural playmaker, he's learning how to use his extraordinary scoring gravity to make more plays, jumping from 3 assists per game to nearly 5 assists per game in one season. He was the primary ball handler for the Celtics, and a lot of the nights their best playmaker, with Kemba injured a lot of the season and Marcus Smart having a down year. And learning how to be a better playmaker and off-the-ball threat is the next step to Tatum's development, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do a great job in this next year. Another underrated aspect of Tatum's game is his defense. Tatum is an above average to elite level perimeter defender with his large wingspan and lateral quickness. Though he doesn't get the best player on the opposing team every night, he's still a very capable defender, and he's often not given credit for in that department. The ceiling for Jason Tatum is ridiculously high, and I can't wait for him to reach his physical peak and show his complete capabilities. Moving on, his partner in crime, who's the best under 25 second option, is Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown took a leap into stardom last year. He went from a guy who might have been overpaid to showing everyone how he deserves every bit of that contract. Jaylen Brown was the best player on the Celtics for a lot of the nights last year, and with how good Tatum is, that is saying a lot. He's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league, and he guards the best player on the opposing team night in and night out, and does a pretty damn good job at it. But he has always been a good defender, and has always done this. But what took him to a complete other level last year was his offense. What looked like a hot start last year turned into a complete offensive leap for Jaylen Brown. Brown averaged 25 points per game last year as a second option, and his shot making ability took a massive leap. Brown took more shots and made more shots on better efficiency than he did in the 2019-20 season. His off-the-dribble game has progressed into one of the best in the league, and with the spot-up shooting always being good, it puts Jaylen Brown in a very small category of players. Providing all defensive level defense while having exceptionally good offense is something any team in the league would love to have. He's already one of the best two-way guys in the league, and elite two-way wings have always been great centerpieces to championship level teams. The only thing slightly concerning about Brown and Tatum is their fit together. Both of them are exceptional individual players. Though both of them have improved as playmakers and off the ball players, they don't really complement each other as well as you'd like them to. Still, having two elite defenders and at the same time very good offensive wings is something teams in the league would die to have, and the Celtics have that. This alone puts them above the rest of the young cores in the league, and though they have some more young players, these are the two main catalysts who raise the ceiling of the Boston Celtics young core and make them the second best young core in the league in my opinion. Robert Williams is another player who is a big part of this core. Robert Williams is a young center who is pretty good alongside Tatum and Brown. Many people have him breaking out this year, but in my personal opinion, I don't see him doing that to the extent people say he will. Don't get me wrong, Robert Williams can be a very good center in the league. Like, he's already a great interior defender and an amazing finisher at the rim with about 70% field goal percentage. He has playmaking upside too in my opinion. But I still believe he is slightly one-dimensional and he isn't really a great perimeter defender yet either. So being only 6'8" will hurt him greatly as he's not fast enough to guard most of the power forwards in the league and is quite undersized for many of the centers. Bam is considered an amazing center in the league and a great defensive one due to how great of a perimeter defender he is and how good he is at switches and guarding guards. That's what allows Bam Adebayo to be a Bam Adebayo, and that's what allows him to be a great defensive center even at that height. But I don't know if Robert Williams can be that good. He's also very injury prone, which might give issues for his development. Nonetheless, he's still a great center to have on your team, and he does have a decently high ceiling. Peyton Pritchard and Aaron Nesmith are two sophomores who showed some promise last year. Aaron Nesmith had a slow start to the season, but as the season progressed, he became what he was advertised to be, a great 3 and D player. He can obviously improve on both the 3 and the D, but that's what he is as of now. I hope to see him develop some off-the-dribble ability and just blossom as a player. Peyton Pritchard too is a scoring guard who was a decent backup point guard for them last year. He isn't that great on defense, but offensively he can be an amazing sixth man and even a starter on many teams. Grant Williams and Romeo Langford are two guys who are like just alright right now. They probably won't be getting many rotational minutes, so I don't really have much of an opinion on them. There's a slight drop off after they talk to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in this young core for sure. But them still being ranked number 2 in the league, in my opinion, just shows how good Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are. And as mentioned, Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard are also decent players to have on your team. And now let's move on to what the Celtics did this offseason and what we should expect from this team the next year. Some of the significant offseason moves the Celtics made were Kemba Walker for Al Horford, they signed Dennis Schroeder to a steal of a deal, and they traded Tristan Thompson for Josh Richardson. Horford is a great signing for the Celtics as he provides them much required size. He's a much bigger and more established center in the league. He'll provide them some experience and some defense. He's not going to do anything crazy for this team, but he was a great return considering Kemba Walker had to be dealt after his disappointing stint in Boston. Horford is quite old and isn't nearly the player he was when the Celtics first got him, but he's still a great player and a decent starting quality center in the league. Moving on, the Dennis Schroeder deal might be one of the best deals this offseason. Getting him for $5.9 million was an absolute steal. Though he isn't worth the $25 million he was asking for, he's without a doubt worth more than what he got. He provides the Celtics with a great facilitator on offense who has some creation ability. He's ridiculously fast and is an amazing finisher at the rim. He's also much less injury prone, and if he's just secondary ball handler like he was for LeBron last year, he can blossom in that role. He's also, in my opinion, a much better playmaker than Kemba, and that will really help the Celtics, even if he isn't so much of a better playmaker. He also improved drastically as a defender in Lakers last year, and he should be a very valuable player for the Celtics this season. And finally, the trade for Josh Richardson. I'm going to be honest, I really don't like Josh Richardson that much. People keep saying if he goes back to his Miami self, if he goes back to his Miami self. But when are we going to accept the fact that he isn't going to? He's still a solid defender and a decent shooter, but he's nothing close to what people make him out to be. The idea of Josh Richardson is better than the player Josh Richardson. But him and Smart will be a great defensive backcourt when playing together, though it might be a weird backcourt offensively. Marcus Smart is also a great NBA player who is the heart and soul of the Celtics team. He's a hustle guy and a great guard defender. He took a big fall on the defensive end last year, but let's just hope that he can still be an all defensive level defender. Offensively, too, he's probably their best playmaker still and is a very good shooter. He gets hot very rarely, but he's still another great player on this team. Finally, my expectations for the Boston Celtics. In my opinion, the Celtics are probably going to be the 4th to 6th seed this year. They've gotten better compared to the previous year, and they still have quite a few young players who can surprise the league. The Hawks and the Bulls are both probably better teams than the Celtics right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics ended up higher in the regular season. They're going to get an entire year of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and they're going to get quality players such as Dennis Schroeder and Horford to chip in for them. And this, in my opinion, makes them a 4th to 6th seed in the league and the second best young core in the league. With this, we have come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my other off-season content and of course, like and subscribe.